In this video, I'm going to be talking about why I quit chasing the American dream and why I'm so much happier pursuing my life as a nurse entrepreneur instead of working in corporate healthcare. Just to clarify, what is actually the American dream? According to Merriam-Webster, the official definition is a happy way of living that is thought of by many Americans as something that can be achieved by anyone in the U.S., especially by working hard and becoming successful. So basically, work hard and build someone else's dream. Let me reiterate. The American dream is a scam meant for you to work hard to build someone else's dream instead of your own. I knew the so-called American dream was BS way back in middle school because I thought it was absolutely crazy to have to go to school for 12 years, then go to college for another 4+ years, only to get out after all of that education to go work for someone else. But I played along with it because that is what society tells us to do. So I became a nurse and I continued on for many years unhappy because I was chasing this American dream. Part of my unhappiness was the nursing profession itself and all the BS that nurses have to deal with on a daily basis when you're working at the bedside or in a clinical type setting. But a lot of it was because of this self-imposed American dream and the standards that other people set by this American dream. The typical American dream lifestyle goes something like this. Go to college, take out an enormous amount of student loans just to pay for college. Then once you get out of college, hope that you can find a job that's going to cover your living expenses and your debt that you now have to pay back to the government for your student loans. And on top of that, living up to the expectations of everybody else in the world by buying a house, getting a car, all these materialistic things that just keep us in debt. Because you have so much debt, you spend your time in a job that you hate. And the only reason that you stay in that job that you hate is because you have all this debt to pay off. So let's not fail to mention that the federal government just now increased the interest rates to slow down this so-called inflation that we're having because of the recession that is impending. So on top of that, everybody who has debt, now they're going to be paying more because of this federal increase on the interest rate. Because one job isn't enough to cover all of this debt and all the things that we put ourselves into simply because we're trying to keep up with the Joneses, a lot of people take another job or pick up extra shifts. I know a ton of nurses that pick up extra shifts just so they can make it, just so they can stay afloat to pay for their car payment, their huge house, everything else that society tells us that we need, which we really don't, but we're trying to live up to this American dream standard. So even though I knew the American dream was a scam way back in middle school, it wasn't until I considered being a parent that I thought more of this American dream and how it would fit into my lifestyle as being a parent and being a mother. So before my daughter was born, I had a super hectic schedule working as a nurse practitioner in an occupational medicine and urgent care clinic. My schedule was from 8 to 5, that's what it was supposed to be, but there were many days where I worked 8 to 7, 8 to 6, 8 to whatever, because the last patient came in and they were complicated. And we took patients up until 4:59. We had no downtime whatsoever as providers, no admin time. We couldn't turn anybody away. So that made my days super long. My schedule on top of that being super long, I live in the Houston area and I had to oftentimes drive an hour away from home, driving back in traffic. My schedule was so unpredictable. It was hard for me as a single person who wanted to actually go out with my friends to have dinner or whatever on whatever day. It was hard for me because my schedule was so unpredictable. On top of that, I moved from clinic to clinic. There were about 17 clinics that I traveled to rotating, and my days could be different from Monday to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I could be in 5 different clinics over the course of a week. So there was a lot going on. And I really started considering this American dream it wasn't really for me because I was tired. And this is way before I became a parent, but I wanted to become a parent. I wanted to become a mom. But I was like, well, how is this going to fit in with my schedule the way it is now? As a mother, I wanted to be present in my child's life. So after my daughter was born, I still had a crazy schedule. It didn't change. I dropped down from 5 days a week to 4 days a week to try to get a little bit of respite. But even still, those 4 days a week, I was still doing traveling all over the Houston area. I was still having a commute time of an hour or more, depending on where I was scheduled that day. I would only get about 30 minutes with my baby when I finally did get home before she fell asleep. So I was absolutely miserable. On top of that, I was tired because I was driving and I was working 50, 60 hours a week and caring for an infant. And so at that point in time, I knew something seriously had to change for me to have the family life that I wanted and that my daughter deserved. I knew that working for myself was the only way that I would be able to have the flexibility and freedom that I wanted. So I started praying really hard, really hard, trying to figure out how I could turn Renursing EDU from a side hustle into a full-time business, and that I was going to take the leap within the next few months. Lo and behold, the pandemic hit and I ended up being furloughed. So I took that as my message and my sign from God that it was okay and I needed to go ahead and pursue my business full time. This was God's answer to my prayers. And I've been full-time in Renursing EDU for a little over 2 years now. And I absolutely cannot imagine going back and working for an employer at this point in time. Before we go any further, let me know in the comments your thoughts on pursuing the American dream and what it means to you. And do you feel like it's unattainable, or are you still going after it? Now you're probably wondering what my life is like after I left corporate America, corporate healthcare, and went full-time in my business. I want to tell you that, like I said, I have so much flexibility and freedom, and I absolutely love it. My days look a whole lot different now than they did previously when I was working clinical work. So I do not live by an alarm clock anymore. My daughter and I wake up with the sun. We take our time getting ready in the morning to do what we need to do. We spend a lot of time playing. We go to the park, we go swimming, and we travel a lot. So before the pandemic, my baby was on planes and cruise ships and everything else, and we have not been on a plane in over 2 years, unfortunately, but we'll be getting back into that. But we've been doing some road trips, and the cool thing about that is that I don't have to ask anybody if I can have a 4-day weekend or a 5-day weekend or whatever to go on a trip, because it is me and I can work wherever. And it's just the matter of me knowing what day it is and making the arrangements to drive or whatever it is we need to do, and we're gone. So we don't have to deal with any of that. As an entrepreneur, I have complete freedom and flexibility with my day and with my daughter. So another thing that's come about after I have left corporate America and worked for myself for a while is that I've decided, since I am in this, since I have this privilege, I am homeschooling my daughter and spending more time with her. This way, my daughter can live life. We can travel, we can do what we want. And I love my life right now, and it would take an absolute large sum of money to get me to go anywhere near a clinical setting again, working for somebody else. I want to end with this. The question is, what are you doing as far as the American dream is concerned? Are you cutting back on expenses, picking up extra shifts, trying to start a business to build your financial freedom on your terms? Let me know in the comments what you're doing. So if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share this channel, and I'm gonna see you on the next video.